Hey, beautiful people, and I hope everyone is having a blessed day. Today, it is story time. Story time, baby. Yes, it's story time. And before I even start, I'm going to ask you all. I know I don't usually do this in the beginning, but I'm going to ask you all to please comment, like, subscribe, share with any and everyone that you know. Please hit that notification bell so you'll know when I'm coming on. And I hope that you enjoyed my mock impressions that I've been doing. And what else? Just things to grow my channel. But it's not about that today. I'm going to go ahead and get into the story time. Because as you can see from the title, it's called 15 and Pregnant. Yes, y'all. 15 and pregnant. Please, I ask that you listen. If you can't view it in its entirety, please just listen in its entirety. Perhaps my story will help someone out there. I know you have a sister or a cousin or an aunt, a friend, just a loved one or someone you care about, or just someone that is in a position or in a situation that they need your help. And I'm just going to tell you my experience at 15 and pregnant. First of all, I'm going to go ahead and tell you what I have here too. I know I've been telling you not first of all, but anyway, I am going to tell you what I have here, and this is pretty much for a show, and I'll snack later. Remember that I am the only one here, so I can talk over it, okay? What I have today are some blood oranges, some kind of crusted cheese, some candied grapes. And you know, I wanted to try this dragon fruit. I've been wanting to try this for a long time. I've never tried dragon fruit before. And I also have plums. So, like I said, most of it, you know, it's pretty much for show. And I have some crackers on the side and stuff just in case I want to munch. But this is a very serious topic. And like I said, I hope that what I went through will help someone today. If it doesn't help you personally, perhaps you know someone else that it may help personally. Okay? So, 15 and pregnant. Wow. This is a very personal story, and some things I've never shared with anyone before. But as I get older, I believe that it's much more, I become more open. And I'll tell you that I believe that it's very important for parents to be open with their children, age appropriate, of course, to talk about certain things and, you know, be open with their children so that they don't get it from somewhere else or don't want to have to go out and experiment and so forth. But anyway, go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and get into it. Of course, I have to give you a little, because I am a storyteller, I have to give you a little background so that you'll get an idea of my surroundings and everything at the time. Okay, and I'm focusing, you know, just like I said, mainly on my experience of being 15 and pregnant. So, I have to tell you, during that time, I was raised in Gary, Indiana, so during that time, um, my family, we moved a lot, courtesy of my mother. We wasn't military, but we moved a lot. I went to 10 different schools growing up, but I only went to one high school. So I moved in this neighborhood on the west side in the winter, during the winter. I remember snow knee deep, but it was during the winter time. I'm not going to tell you what year, but we'll get to that. You'll figure that out later. But I was 12 years old, and when we moved in that November, the winter of November, and a lot of things was happening in Gary. You have to understand that, well, it's important that you understand, like I said, I'm giving you a little part of my surroundings, information about my surroundings that will help you understand better, you know, my story a little better. So during that time, it was the 70s, so it was over 75% black there. You know, excuse me, the U.S. steel mills, everything was really growing, bustling. You know, if you had a job at the mill, you know, you had a good job and secure job. And you know, downtown was bustling, and you know, just had, during that time you had Marvin Gaye. Everybody in the neighborhood, you know, we listening to Marvin Gaye, you know, Earth, Wind and Fire, you know, going to skating rings, experiencing drive-bys, you know, maybe somebody may get shot and they may crawl to your doorstep, you know, there and die, unfortunately. So it was nothing, the gangs and all that, there was nothing to me. So being in an atmosphere like that, and my block was, you know, everyone was pretty close, you know. The kids, we had enough kids there in the neighborhood to we can have a couple of football teams and stuff. And so, you know, we were there and we were very close and everything. You know, there was times that we were playing red light, green light, stop, Captain May-I, you know, just playing street games and stuff, and just having a good time, going to the movies, or what we call the show, on the weekends and stuff like that. Well, when we moved there, my parents, after being together for so many years, well, eventually my parents had parted. So I was there with my mother. I was left home with my mother. And I'm going to be as respectful as I can, but I also believe in just, you know, being blunt and just telling out some things you have to be just blunt about and just telling the truth. You know, it's like when, I'm sure, and especially in a lot of our families, we may have, and you know what I mean when I say our families, we may have somebody, your mother may say, or your aunt may say, don't y'all go in the basement, or y'all keep those kids away from Uncle Willie, y'all keep those kids away from Uncle so-and-so, whatever. You know, pretty much everybody's had somebody in their house like that. You probably have them now. But anyway, I'm digressing. Let me get back. So, 12 years old, I moved there, new girl on the block. And 12 years old, and I'm thinking about it now, but anyway, 12 years old, new girl on the block, and all these guys, boys, are vying for my attention. I am not thinking about a boyfriend. I am book smart, and I'm street smart. Okay? Yes, even at 12. So, this boy, unbeknownst to me at the time, but he had told other boys, don't you go to her house, don't you even try to go there and talk to her, because, you know, I am talking to her, or she's mine, or whatever. But anyway, I didn't know that at the time. So going forward, you know, summer breaks, you know, you doing things, you having a good time. So me and this boy, we started to be friends and stuff, and hooking up and everything. Not hooking up sexually at first, but, you know, because I was 12, but, you know, hooking up. And because he lived right down the street from me, and he had several brothers and one sister, and we became very close. My mother, that's going to be another story time, but my mother at the time had met someone, so she was the house was really mine. So I really had my house, well, my mother's house really was mine at the age of maybe about 14, you know. That's where she spent most of her time away. So I was pretty much there, going to school, doing what I need to do. But after being left there with my mother, I pretty much raised myself. And as you can see, all I really need, I learned in kindergarten. And if you all look this up, you'll pretty much say to yourself, oh yeah, I sure did. But a lot of things that I learned was from the streets, or just from experience, and having to do over or whatever. Hard knock. So, because we all have a story to tell. But anyway, so let me just go to 15. 15 years old, me and this guy, we are still kicking it and everything, and I become pregnant. So I didn't say anything to my mom, and I'm going to tell whoever it is out there that is struggling for affection, struggling for love, because they don't get it or haven't received it from their parents or parent. Don't do what I did. What I did is my mother, she would go and get me the birth control pills, and I would flush them down the toilet. So I would flush them down the toilet, and also I wanted someone that I could love unconditionally and could be loved unconditionally. So neither of my daughters were mistakes, because I chose to flush birth control pills down the toilet, and I also chose to feel the way that I did. However, a lot of times people are prejudiced, and they discriminate against teen moms. It's like, it's as if some folks act like you're a teen mom, that you have been, like in The Color Purple, like the old man in The Color Purple, like you've been spoiled, you've been tarnished. Don't let nobody tell you that. You're a human being. I've heard so many times before how they say, when a young girl gets pregnant, your life is over. No, it isn't. When I got pregnant, I didn't go to my mother. My mother came to collect my urine. Told me that she would be collecting my urine first thing in the morning, for a pregnancy test. And then when she told us that I was pregnant, when they had called and told her I was pregnant, she made a joke like, yeah, the rabbit died, all this kind of stuff. So I'm pregnant. Her father is in her life. My father is in my life, but my mother is pretty much absent. It's like when I turned 15 and got pregnant and had a child, it was like I didn't exist anymore. And for example, it was, customary to give, you know, Christmas gifts and gifts and stuff during certain holidays. But, you know, during Christmas, during your birthday, all of that is stopped. It immediately stopped. During that time, we had an alderman, you know, they used to visit your homes and stuff, you know, wanting you to vote for them, you know, like city aldermen and stuff like that. And I'll never forget, I must have been about 6, 7 months pregnant. And this alderman had came and visited my mother, and he said, yeah, you know, I usually give the expected mothers, you know, $10 and stuff, you know. Like I said, this was in the 70s. But even then, I knew the value of money. I used to give them $10, but, you know, because I was 15 and pregnant, you pretty much telling me I wasn't worth it, you know. And I was asked about an abortion as well from my mother. And by being so close to my dad, my mother tried to discredit me in giving the news to my father. But I'm going to tell y'all something about unconditional love. When you love a person unconditionally, that means just that. And let me tell you what my dad did. My mother, I still remember what I had on. I had on those red polyester pants, you know, that was in the 70s. I had on some red polyester pants. I don't remember the blouse. But I remember my mother and my father was in the kitchen or living room area, and she wickedly was letting him know that I was pregnant and stuff. And so when she did that, I ran to my room and closed the door and sat with my back. I sat on the floor with my back against the door. I felt so humiliated and I felt so ashamed. Not because I was pregnant, but because my dad knew, you know, and how my dad was told. But my dad walked down the hall and talked to me through the door. And the first thing he said was, I love you, and you always gonna be my baby. I went into labor. As I said, my mother wasn't there. I went into labor, and thank God for the people that come in, that God brings. Thank Him. I thank Him for the people that He brought into my life. You know, they were angels. They were angels. And one of those angels was Mrs. Brooks. She was our neighbor, across the street neighbor. I had to call Mrs. Brooks when I went into labor because I couldn't reach my mother. And when I got to the hospital, they had given me an enema, y'all, and the nurses went back to the nurses station and started watching their soap operas. My mother came in there like a tornado. What did you do this for? She could lose her baby, you know, and stuff, and you know what's going on. After she did get them in check, I was going into labor, and she said, they asked me if I wanted to be, at that time they asked me if you wanted if I wanted to be awake or if I wanted to be asleep. And I told them asleep. So the next thing I knew, they had the mask over my face, putting me to sleep. I was counting back, and I don't even think I got to 99 or whatever, but I was counting back, and the next thing I knew, I was waking up, and my baby was there. But I'm going to tell you that that was when I was 15 years old. And you hear all, years later I heard, different things and stuff. I knew that my mother had wanted me to get an abortion, but also sometimes parents make a decision based on what others may say. You know your child, you know your household, but most of all, if you love them unconditionally, you shouldn't care what anyone says. And because on top of that, the main people that were going to my mother, as I found out years later, their daughters were on the stroll, if you know what I mean. They were leaning on the lamppost. And we was in high school. So I was determined to go to high school. So, I got married at 16. Yep, that's another story time, y'all. That is another story time. But shout out to, because it has a way of coming back in a circle, sometimes in a good way. Shout out to the Dondras, to Stanley, to Ricky, to Connie. Shout out to all of y'all. And we're older now. We've come back together, and it's a beautiful thing. So, but I didn't go to prom. Actually, when I graduated, the night that I graduated, I walked off the stage. And to, naysayers, people were always gonna, you're always gonna have naysayers, always gonna have them. But but I did graduate on time. You see, I got this plate when I was a young Marine in Okinawa, Japan. So I did graduate with my class on time. That's me getting my diploma. Graduated on time. But before that, I had moved to Indianapolis and lived there for about 8 months, determined to finish school on time. And in doing so, I was going to night school. I think you all have a Crispus Attucks or something there in Indianapolis. I was going to night school. I went to day school. Because I was determined that when I moved back to Gary, that I was going to get my degree. I was determined by any means necessary to get my degree, my diploma on time. And I did. This is my yearbook. I got it maybe 10 years after, when I went to my 10th high school reunion. But this is my yearbook. And if you go to my, I have a video speaking about heroes and stuff or influencers in my life. And I mentioned and a Tuskegee Airman. His name was Quentin P. Smith. Quentin P. Smith was my high school principal, and I was trying to down there at the bottom. That's my high school principal, Tuskegee Airman. Y'all from Gary, Indiana, y'all know what time it is. Hey, and tell me down below, our chips, you know, everybody, I think every state or whatever has their favorite chips or snack brand and stuff. Ours at the time was Jay's. There was no potato chips like Jay's potato chips, you know. Because in the yearbook, you know, they have what's going on at the time and stuff. But yes, I did graduate on time. And I didn't get a chance to go to the prom. But years later, actually, was it this year? A young lady had a fundraiser, and she knew that I had not, I had told her I had never been to the prom and stuff, you know, and she was quite surprised. So I was tickled pink. For her fundraiser, she had an adult prom. And I was named Mrs. Sweetheart. And I can tell you that I was so happily surprised. And I usually don't like surprises, but I was so excited, and it was very nice. So it came in a circle. I did get a chance to go to the prom. And you know, speaking of cycles, I have to tell you that it's so important that we as parents, that we share with our children our life experiences. I mean, you don't have to be, you know, blood and guts and stuff like that, but it really helps in their journey in life, so that they will not repeat, or that they have a better chance of not repeating the same actions. I have 2 daughters now, and I can't imagine life without my daughters. I just can't imagine life without my daughters. And that daughter that I had, that little girl that I had at 15, I can remember being in the hospital, getting ready to leave the hospital like that 3rd or 4th day. Now they kick you out immediately. But being in the hospital that 3rd or 4th day, and get ready to leave, and they say, the nurse come in and she says, you can't take your baby home. Say what now? Oh, we just love her. They used to have her hair in a different style every time she came. But this is my baby. And I was made to feel ashamed by my mother for taking such good care of her. Parents, you know that you would do anything for your child, your children. There's nothing that a parent a good parent wouldn't do for their kid. And I'm going to tell you something. If you're out there misusing your child or your children, stop. If you're out there, even psychologically, you're dumb, you're stupid, you're not going to be anything, you're nothing without me, all those things, it carries on. Not only that, little people grow up to be big people. And I think a lot of adults forget that. But I hope you enjoyed my story. I didn't want to be too deep, just in case there is someone, a young girl, or even a young boy who may need to give directions to somebody, or who may need direction. And talk about cycles. Let me talk about cycles just for a second. Sometimes it's important to break these cycles. If your parents didn't graduate high school, perhaps you can graduate high school. Because usually a parent wants more for their children than they want for themselves. Okay? So, I eventually broke that cycle. I have two beautiful, God has blessed me with two beautiful daughters. They're independent. Two beautiful grandkids, a grandson and a granddaughter. And a granddaughter that looks like I spit out. So, the cycle in which I have cut is the cycle of teen pregnancy and the cycle of parental abuse. That's another story time I have for you all. Because my daughter and I, my oldest daughter and I, we're talking about cycles, are 15 years apart. My daughter and her sister, my two daughters, they're 15 years apart. And, you know, the thing just goes on. But because God was with me all the time, I was able to break the cycle of not being an abusive person, not and my children not having kids until they are adults. There is nothing that, like I said, there's nothing that a parent wouldn't do for their child. And I want to say, I really hope that you all enjoyed this video. I want to taste this dragon fruit with you all, but I wanted to do it at the end because of the black specks. And I want to show you one more thing. That baby that I had, want to tell you a couple of more things. Never, ever allow anyone to tell you that you cannot do something, that you're worthless, like I said before. Ladies, always, always, always try to keep your own, because a man will put you out as quick as your heart will be. At the drop of a hat. Always have you some mad money. And when I say never let nobody tell you to do that you can't do anything, because that 15-year-old, she did go on to not only graduate high school with her class, she went on to become a mental health worker. She also went on to receive a Bachelor of Science as well as a Master's. That 15-year-old that was pregnant, that people were against, mainly adults, but they're not going to say nothing in front of your face. Well, she went on to become a United States Marine Corps. She went on to serve her country, honor and to be discharged honorably. That 15-year-old that became pregnant, her child never went hungry. And was always looked fresh, had fresh clothes on. Fresh from the stores, not out the dryer. Okay? That 15-year-old, when she got her bachelor's and her master's, and getting her bachelor's, she was appointed a class leader throughout her studies, on the dean's list throughout her studies. That 15-year-old that became pregnant went on to teach at universities. That 15-year-old that became pregnant even went on and wrote a book. That 15-year-old that became pregnant is a poet. That 15-year-old that became pregnant is a storyteller. That 15-year-old that became pregnant is a published author. One of the most, for me, one of the, if you had to say it's a job, which I don't look at it as that, but one of the most, I'll say the most rewards that I've had in life is having my 2 daughters. And lastly, that 15-year-old she caught the bouquet of that little girl that she gave birth to. that 15-year-old caught the bouquet of that baby she gave birth to. And that baby that she gave birth to loves her to death, and she loves her to death. I'm not advocating for teen pregnancy. I just want you to know that you are someone. You are somebody. And whether it was a mistake or otherwise, you are somebody. You are someone because you are a child of God. And I know that there are other circumstances, when someone, for someone to get pregnant. And I'm not discussing those, because that's a whole different topic. But this right here, I just want to share. I wanted to share this with you all, and also in hopes that it would also give you a little more, let you know a little bit about me. You get to know a little bit more about me. I know I'm still behind the screen, but I'm going to go ahead and taste this. Because I want to know what the hype is about. Be honest with y'all as usual. It's not nasty. Okay, so go ahead and eat it. It isn't nasty at all, but it doesn't have a taste. And these things are expensive, and it doesn't have a taste. But these blood oranges and plum, the plum will give you life, baby. The plum will give you life. Excuse me. And the blood oranges. The blood. But it's crazy because even though these are the real blood oranges, because, color and all that, they're not as sweet as the Cara Cara blood oranges. And you can watch my youngest daughter, you can watch her on a video. Well, she's done 2 or 3, I think 2. But she was here with me just a few weeks ago, and she did the Weird Soda Challenge. Yeah, the Weird Soda Challenge with me. And we did a seafood boil at home. I made a seafood boil and we did that. We did the seafood boil together, and then we did the Weird Soda Challenge individually. So she has her video and I have mine. So please check that out. And don't forget to check out my Please finish checking out my mock impressions and stuff. And let me know down below sometimes, tough times or something that you have gone through, because what I want to say through going through all of this in my life, and we all have a story, but going through everything that I've gone through thus far in my life, and especially since I was young, when I was younger, I pretty much raised myself because I've been working since I was 12 years old. And I say that because we will have summer job program every year. And when I started, I went there at 12 years old to work. I didn't have a Social Security card. They said, okay, well, we're going to let you go ahead and work, but we will back pay you once you get your Social Security card and that. And that's what happened. And I've been working ever since, y'all, until, a few years back. So, yeah, so, what I have learned, what lessons that my mother has taught me is survival. But please understand, a child should not have to worry about what they're going to do if you die all the time, constantly. Or that shouldn't even be something that a child should have to worry about. Don't give up on your kids. And I want to leave you with this question, because this is going to be my next story time. Have you ever in your life, yes, I'm talking to you, have you ever in your life have had to let go of a toxic parent? But most of all, let me ask you this. Have you ever had someone in your life that's supposed to nurture you and love you, to the moon and forever, but takes the opportunity, at every opportunity they could, to convince others not to love you? Or just somebody that they don't have any love for you and they don't want anyone else to love you. Let me know if you've experienced that. If you've ever experienced someone who they don't want to love you, but they don't want anybody else to love you. So, what I learned from all this, lessons that was taught by my mother, is unconditional love. Not unconditional love. Survival. It's amazing that I'm not a nervous wreck. But God is so good. God is so good. And if you're in this situation, or you know someone in this situation, pray for that person. Try to help that person in any way that you can, because it could be a quite lonely place. Again, thank you guys so very much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you will know when your girl is coming on. And I hope you enjoy my mom impressions. Please look at the my other video about never giving up. And if you see that video, you'll pretty much understand even more, a little bit more about me, and stuff, and maybe some of the sacrifices that I had to endure. Okay, so I asked you that question. Please comment down below and let me know. Okay, and also comment and let me know any other things that you would like to see me with. Hey, Jonah. But please comment down below and let me know if there's anything else you would like to see me doing and stuff. I really appreciate it. I thank you all so very much for watching. And you all make sure that you have a blessed day. Make sure that you're good to yourself. I thank you so very much. Stay blessed. Oh, wait a minute. That's right. My next story time will be letting go of a toxic parent.